Hey guys, welcome to another episode of, I can't remember our channel name. What was it? Tuned Up?
Tuned Up, I think.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Tuned Up. This is gonna be good. I'm serious, okay? This is worth your time. Take the time to watch this episode. We're gonna be going over a lot of stuff. What is sitting behind me, okay, I'll get it. Okay, so what's sitting behind me, all of you have seen. So you're probably wondering, why am I trying to do this? Is this clickbait? Am I really just stoking you up so you can see another EJ25? Well look, obviously this car has a ton of high dollar parts. You can start right here from the Process West intake manifold that's been CNC'd. You look down even lower and you look at the stamp in the back and you say, oh my goodness, is that a IAG block? And you're like, yeah it is. But really, stay with me now people. Really the reason why this car is crazy cool is it's twin turboed. But hold on. I thought also I would expect to see a turbo down here and a turbo down here, and we would have our twin turbo car. Not the case. This is actually twin turbo, but it's compound setup. I know, like diesel trucks. It's weird. I'm with you. Honestly, I'm gonna admit something. I think what makes me really good at my job is the fact that I don't have an ego. I'm always willing to learn. I'm always willing to change my opinions. If you would have asked me before I tuned this car, I would have said a compound setup is a waste of time on a gasoline engine because compound setups really only get efficient with big boost numbers. I've totally changed my tune. I don't know what to tell you, internet world. I was wrong. I didn't know what I was talking about. I blew it. All of these are what I want to tell you right now. Here's the honest truth. I have been tuning this car and I'm blown away, okay? I have a log earlier today. It was making 27 pounds at 3,700 RPM. I've personally never seen a car, okay, let me rephrase. Without nitrous, I have never seen a car that has put out over 750 wheel horse also make 25 pounds at something as low as 3,800 RPM. It's just not possible, okay? And we're gonna talk about that. We'll give you some different numbers that this car has done and stuff like that at a previous shop where it was dynoed, and we'll talk about what it's doing now. And can't wait to take you along for the ride, so stay with us.
Dang, that's pretty quiet for everything that's done to this. So this is pretty nuts. I mean, this is a pretty stock interior other than the cage. Wow. I mean, other than the cage, you really wouldn't know what this car's got.
No, not at all. Just making a couple idle changes. No. What a sweet car. Like this, I'll be honest with you, most of the stuff I get dropped off, well, obviously the owners are like, race car! But man, you're just like, okay, cool. Like, do you go to the track a lot? No, not really. Oh, what do you mainly do with the car? Oh, I just, I drive it to work or I drive it on the weekends. You're like, okay, nice. So like, why is it gutted to the hilt and loud and everything rattles? It's falling apart.
Cool, man. Looks cool.
Or hashtag race car. Of course, people in my generation would be like, hashtag, it's a pound sign race car. Yeah, but no, this one you're like, oh, this car's nasty, and the interior's all here.
Yeah.
And it's not, you know, there's no rattles, there's no bumps. The cage is here, but it's out of the way. I mean, it's really well done, and you do lose the sun visors though. All good.
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Wow.
Yeah, what a freak. What a freak of like an engine, like the whole thing.
Would not have expected this out of a Subaru.
No. And it seriously drives like I would say an FP green. For those of you that are like big in the STI world, okay, you're gonna know what I'm talking about here. First Performance, a green upgrade turbo, right? Basically take the guts out of it and upgrade, but it's a stock frame turbo, okay? It feels like that. only when the FP Green noses over, you know, at like 4,800 RPM or 5,000 RPM, and it's pretty much out of steam, it's like this thing just keeps pulling like a train. And I thought it would be like a diesel compound setup when I ride in some of my buddies' diesel compounds, where there's like that transition, you know, where it feels like you hear the first one spooling, and then it's like there's like a transition, they both come together. But no, this one's like, I don't know, it's like it's there, and then the second one comes on and party time. It almost feels more like the old, you know, sequential set, like the old twin turbo sequential setups on like an older RX-7, you know. For RX-7, for my FD people out there, right? For those of you watching Rob Dom and everybody else, you know, it's like the famous 10-8-10, right? Everybody knows the 10-8-10 pattern, right? And so where there's that transition where you see 10, first you see the first turbo 10, and then the transition drops to 8 and then 10, and you would get that slight torque drop, and then it would roll back in. But it's not, it doesn't do that. This one basically hits hard at like 3,000 RPM, it is moving. And then it just pulls and pulls and pulls.
That's crazy. All right, so this is a pretty insane car for a few reasons. One, it's running a compound turbo setup. Two, the horsepower numbers for this type of motor slash platform is not something you see every day. So JR is making some adjustments here to the idle and a few different things. So yeah, let's kind of jump to when we're going to talk about this a little bit more. You can see that turbo just chilling right there.
Yeah.
Well,
all the grip too. It's running R888s all the way around. I wonder what wheels are on this car. What wheels are on this car? Oh my, Rays. So it's got Volks.
pretty good wheel.
Oh yeah.
So this thing, I mean, from top to bottom.
Wheel.
Oh yeah, top to bottom, this car is just crazy. The internet's got questions, JR. We've got questions.
Yes.
Compound turbo setup, 4-cylinder motor. Shouldn't they fight? Like, what's the...
So they do sort of fight. So this car, I gotta remember what the owner told me, but like the car was on that, it's on a Zona turbo, I'm not sure of the size, and it made over 800 wheel, and then, but it was pretty laggy, and so he was kind of upset with it. So he talked with the shop that did this, which was Simple Performance down in Salt Lake, and they ended up talking about doing a compound setup. I'm not even sure what the primary turbo is, and it is I can see it's an upgraded Garrett though, so who knows, for all I know it could be like a 28 RS, you know, the old famous disco potato they call it, or a GT30 or whatever. I'm not quite sure, but man, it does great. And what happens is, this was interesting, so I was talking to him about it. It dynoed over 800 wheel on the single, when it was singled. Once they went to the compound setup, because they do fight, the larger turbo has to push through the smaller turbo. They do fight, and it actually only dynoed like, I gotta remember, guys, it was like 740 or 750 wheel, but the torque was insane, and it's everywhere. I guess the real question is the car faster? Certainly around town it is way faster. Would it be faster on a drag strip? Probably not. If you could stay in the power band of the single turbo, probably not. There's a reason why, like, you're not seeing these setups a lot at drag strips, except on diesel guys running, you know, 80 plus pounds of boost. But man, for a street setup, for somebody that's like 90% of the time, the car is living its life on the street, what a killer deal. What a setup.
Which is crazy to think that a compound setup on a car like this would be efficient. So as a tuner, how do you compensate for the turbos fighting back and forth?
So that's a great question. But so the way they have it set up, there's actually a manual boost controller that opens the wastegate to essentially try and bypass the first turbo. Okay, and so I don't control that. There's no reason for me to control that. Essentially, you know, we want that turbo to bring up, you know, 10, 11 pounds of boost, and then we start swinging around those exhausts to our big boy and let him come in. So manual boost controller controls a small guy. We make 10 pounds of boost and then we open it up. The larger turbo is controlled by me. And so we do control that through the AM. I should say, there's actually some other wizardry on this car. Again, this is like ultimate street car here. This car runs a dual injector setup. So this car is running on 8 injectors. It has Radium Engineering actually came out with a fuel rail and intake runners that support 2 injectors per cylinder. So this car actually has ID 1000s for the primary injectors, and then it runs ID 2000s for the secondaries. So if you're wondering like, wow, like this car's making 700 plus and it's on ethanol and it's fully flex fueled, and so like how's it doing that? It's doing that because of the dual injector setup. That's why it idles so well. That's why the drivability is so good, because of that reason. And the AEM Infinity actually stages the injectors how they come in. So, and I control all that. So we have it set up basically running the primaries around town until you get about 6 to 7 pounds of boost. And it depends on RPM. I also ramp them in based on higher RPMs as the duty cycle goes up. But basically I bring those primary injectors to about, my goal as I was tuning and logging was to about 60 to 70% duty cycle. And then I'm bringing in the other injectors as well. And so I'm just trying to keep it right around, the primaries right around that 60-70%, and then I'm bringing in my secondaries and they're taking care of all the fueling after that.
Awesome.
So killer atomization. Man, we should show the trunk too. We should show, okay, there's other stuff on this car. There's just a lot of stuff going on with this car. So you see this and you're like, oh my goodness, it's running nitrous. And that's how he's doing these crazy spools, and we knew this guy was a joker and this channel sucks and tuned up is dumb. Slow down everybody, slow down internet. You can flame us in the comment section below. You know you're going to anyway, that's what the trolls do, okay? This is actually just CO2. It's not nitrous, okay? Although I guess he could put nitrous in as well, but I'm pretty sure he put CO2 in it. Just on certain drag, I guess in certain situations where he's been drag racing and the car's gotten heat soaked, he's found that the cars ran more consistently when he used this CO2 system. Man, I gotta be honest again, I don't know. Look, I would have told you this was not worth, look, internet, I would have said not worth your time. These things have been out since 2003, 2004. There's like, I can't remember the company, Chiller Express or something. They've had this. And they have like fuel coolers, intake manifold coolers, you spray the intercoolers, they have all kinds of chillers, right? I've just never seen them do enough to justify filling bottles and, you know, it's like, if you're at the drag strip, you can just as easily take a giant thing of ice and just go boop and plop it right on there and probably get the same results. But the owner said he likes the results, so great, can't argue with it. Now, the other thing though is kind of funky after a while. I think it was getting vapor lock. The fuel pump, so it's running a dual hanger down in there, and the fuel pumps actually were not staged. And so the shop that actually wired this car for me is Nip and Tuck Performance up in Orem. They actually wired me a relay. That relay actually triggers the second pump at about 7 pounds. So I think it was too much flow, it was vapor locking before. Now that we've staged the pump. And the other cool thing is that relay ties in with the Nitrous Express. If he hits an arming switch in the front, it will then also be able to trigger the Nitrous Express, which like I said, I'm pretty sure it's just CO2, to spray the intercooler when he hits 7 pounds of boost as well. So all of this can be automated. There's no, you know, thing that the owner needs to do himself. And also, like we said, the car's flex fueled. What does that mean? That means you put whatever you want in the gas tank and it takes care of it all. It will automatically run a different timing table, it runs a different fueling table, it runs different boosts, target tables as well. And you guys will see that a lot on my channel, how I set that stuff up. So stay tuned.
Sweet. All right, people are gonna see that. What was that?
Oh, so I have really no boost control. this is going to be some back and forth. From what he told me, the previous shop, the smaller turbo, the way the compound setup is right now, it is causing so much back pressure that they basically had to put all the springs in the wastegates. For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, a wastegate spring sets the base pressure, and then the tuner can manipulate what that wastegate does by controlling the air that runs to it, and that's how we control boost and everything else. But there's always a base pressure, so I can never manipulate less than base. So if somebody says, hey, I've got a wastegate, it's got 10 PSI springs, I can't go less than 10. What that means is the wastegate will open when it's fed 10 PSI, but I can't go less than that. It's not like I can magically open it at 5 or 4, okay? Well, this one was opening because of exhaust pressure, what we call EMAP, exhaust manifold pressure, right? And because of that, the previous shop put a ton of spring in it. I have no idea. It could have 26-pound springs in it. I haven't tuned the car that far. You know, we're taking you guys on a ride, we're talking about the car. I just haven't gotten that far. So I actually still have the boost cut set at 24 pounds, but I have it hitting soft, and so it's not a big deal. But that's what's happening there. I'm going through the gears, I'm taking some logs, I'm looking at stuff, and then it's just hitting that boost cut. Fill it up with the good stuff. Hey, remember kids, you want the yellow pump. That's the one that gives the corn juice. It smells good. I know my wife stopped complaining in my car once we started running the corn juice in the house. She always complained, the car's so stinky. Now not so stinky.
So maybe a video later on, specifically just e-juice and why to run it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I'll make a video. I'll explain all the pluses, the minuses, the BTU, the British Thermal Unit, of why it contains more energy, even though technically it contains less, but why it actually is more. Stay tuned for that.
All right, JR, what time is it?
I'll tell you what time it is. There's an overpass coming up, which means it's time to see what kind of musical sounds this car makes, which honestly, I think it's gonna make great sounds. So, ready? Let's downshift a little bit and see what it sounds like. Right, here we go. The car's going really good. I've got probably at least another hour's worth of work on the car. Figure stuff out with a boost, like what is, you know, in reality, how can I get some more control out of it? What are the spring gate pressures? So I just need to talk to the shop that built it, talk to the owner, get more information, and then we can get the boost control a lot better and get that working perfect and solid. So that's, yeah, but no, it's going great. Man, I just, like I said in the beginning of this video, people, I would have told you that a compound setup was a terrible idea on a gas powered motor, and I have totally had my world flipped upside down. So, you look, I'm always willing to say when I'm wrong. I was wrong on this setup. It's awesome. Okay, the binging in the background, I can't take it anymore. I just realized I left the key. And such bliss, such bliss. Oh man. Seriously, OEM manufacturers, you couldn't figure out how to make that ding less annoying. Hold on, I don't know if you guys could actually watch the light bulb turn on in my head right there, but then I was like, wait a second, the whole purpose of the bing is to be annoying, to tell you that you left your lights on or the keys in the car. So I'd like to take all that back that I just said, and I apologize to all the engineers that made the bing in a car so annoying, because I guess that's the whole point. What other questions you got, Brady? Come on, internet. What do you want from me?
I'm sure they're gonna have more comments. Maybe we'll touch on those in later videos.
Okay, let's do it. No, that'll be fine. We'll answer some of the comments that people ask and stuff like that, so no problem.
Well, tell the people what to do, JR.
Here's what you need to do. You need to like, you need to subscribe, you need to tune into all of our future videos here on Tuned Up, and of course, make comments below. Even if you just talk about my tacky clothing, that's actually totally fine. I don't mind at all, because I get the business done in the cars, and that's all that matters to me. So that's where I'm at, life. Hey, hope you enjoy the videos, and stay tuned, people. We got more stuff coming.